you all for coming out on such a frigid, cold night tonight. I want to start out by asking this question. If you were to look at what are the three primary foundations of health, if you look at the health triangle, and I've talked about this in my other talks, but I want to see what you guys say about this. What would that be? What would the health, if we're to look at the three sides of the health triangle, what would those three sides be? Anybody?
I would say protein and meat, protein, seafood, meat, you know that.
Okay, we're just talking about nutrition there.
Yeah.
But nutrition.
Fruit and vegetables is the other two.
But so if we were looking at the three sides of what makes us healthy? What are the things, the three primary things that determine how healthy we are?
I'll take another stab at it. Minerals, vitamins.
Okay, that's part of it, and part of it was what you said before.
Okay.
So, what do you think, Dr. Adam?
Well, one would probably be recovery, like sleep, for example.
Okay, sleep could be part of that. I would say it would be, on the bottom, structural neurological. We have to have a nervous system that's functioning right. On one side would be biochemical, which is nutrition. On the other side of the triangle would be thoughts or emotions. So emotions, biochemistry, structural neurological on the bottom. So what we're going to talk about this evening is we're going to talk about the nutritional biochemical part of the triangle. Now, you're right, sleep is really important. Drinking water, clean water is really important. Fresh air is important. Exercise is important. But you can't exercise away a bad diet. Or can you? Am I right on that?
No.
If you're eating fast food, a lot of French fries, a lot of those little Debbie cakes at home, I don't care how much you exercise, you can't exercise that away.
Yeah.
So we have to put in the things in our body as good nutrition. Now, we're going to talk about whole food nutrition tonight because that's really important. Whole foods contain vital nutrients that your body needs. Let's look at history. As far back as 1500 BC, goose liver was used to cure night blindness in ancient Greece, Rome, and Arabia. In 1757, James Lind, a Scottish physician in the British Navy, discovered that only fresh fruits and vegetables cured scurvy. Do you remember the one fruit that they used the most?
Citrus.
Oranges.
Limes.
Limes. That's how the British sailors got called limeys.
Oh.
Because it was limes. They used limes. Okay. In 1893, a Dutch physician named Eichmann was able to produce paralysis in chickens by feeding them polished white rice. The disease was very, very similar to that suffered by humans in Asia who ate primarily white rice.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of food and the quality of food that we eat really matters. In 1912, a biochemist by the name of Hopkins fed animals a refined diet. The animals were unable to reproduce, became ill, and died. Animals fed an unprocessed, unrefined diet thrived. Vitamins were discovered about this same time. So, do Americans generally eat a refined diet or an unrefined diet?
Refined.
Pretty much refined, okay? Yeah. Now, vitamins are very complex substances. You find them in generally fairly small amounts that are intertwined and intermixed with the food. So it's an integral part of that nutrition mixture. Here's a couple of other interesting studies. And these are older studies. In 1991, they found that 90% of the people that were tested were deficient in chromium, 80% in B6, 75% in magnesium, 68% in calcium, 57% in iron, 50% in vitamin A. Now, I wonder what this, I haven't seen a study like this done recently, and we need to do one. We need to find out what it is now. I would like to do a study like this. It would be expensive, but we could do it, you know. In the mid-1960s, a study of hospital patients showed that marginal vitamin deficiencies, just marginal deficiencies, altered the immune system and altered the therapeutic response. Now, do you think that most people in our country have some marginal nutritional deficiencies?
Just
Yeah.
marginal?
Yeah, some major ones.
Yeah.
Now, foods that have vital parts that are processed have a lot of the nutrients removed. We cannot fix these nutrient deficiencies with a vitamin pill that has all kinds of synthetic, chemically isolated vitamins. The reason is vitamins come in complexes of trace elements, minerals, enzymes, amino acids, and fatty acids, and things that we don't even know about yet. Supplying them in separate fractions can lead to further depletion and imbalances. So a whole food vitamin E complex also contains selenium, okay? So when I give somebody Cataplex E, which is standard processes whole food vitamin E complex, I'm also giving them the complexes that go with it, the vitamins and minerals, and one of those is selenium. Anybody remember what selenium is really important for? Thyroid function.
That's right.
Thyroid function. Okay. Now here's a whole food supplements versus ice synthetic nutrients. Americans are now spending more than $17 billion a year for supplements on health and wellness. Yet the rates of some of the chronic diseases haven't changed all that much. Well, some of it has actually increased. Would you agree that raw honey is better for you than white sugar?
Yeah.
How about brown rice versus white rice? Okay?
Right.
So, don't you think that why would it be any different for vitamins? Just like refined foods, refined vitamins have been robbed of all the extra nutrients that they need to make your body whole. This is why I use the standard process supplements, because they're not like that. Now, think of whole food complexes as a car. You have all these parts that go into a car. Now, how easy would it be to make a good running car if you took parts from all kinds of different automobiles and put them together? Not very. But that's what a lot of the nutrition, a lot of the multivitamins are just like that. So, in other words, an automobile, it's an original form, will drive a lot better than a pile of parts that make up a car. Most people don't follow this logic when examining nutritional supplements. So, taking one specific isolated vitamin and calling it a vitamin is similar to isolating part of a car and calling it a car. So ascorbic acid is called vitamin C all the time. Ascorbic acid is not vitamin C. It's part of vitamin C, just like an engine is part of the car. Okay? Now, what about, let's look at vitamin C, for example. Ascorbic acid is the wrapper, the antioxidant wrapper that keeps the rest of the vitamin from oxidizing. So it's when you get vitamin C, like in a fresh orange or a fresh pepper or potatoes or things that are high in vitamin C, you get rutin, which is called vitamin P. Very important for supporting collagen and connective tissue. So you see that in standard process, they have a vitamin called vitamin ACP. It's high in whole food complex vitamin A, high in vitamin C, but especially in the foods where vitamin P is a little higher, okay? And that's for building collagen and connective tissue. Bioflavonoid complex, the K factor, which supports clotting of blood. the health and strength of bone and other organs, glands, and tissues. The J factor, vitamin C oxygenates the blood. It carries oxygen to the blood. It helps the blood carry oxygen. Tyrosinase, which contains organic copper. This is essential to heart function, also essential to thyroid function. So if somebody has a thyroid issue, a lot of times I'll give them vitamin C because of the tyrosinase. Very, very important. Do you think you get tyrosinase in ascorbic acid? No, you don't. Do you get the J factor in ascorbic acid? No, you don't get any of this in ascorbic acid. Now, I'm not saying ascorbic acid isn't important, but you have to have this stuff to really have vitamin C. So when I give somebody Cataplex C, they're getting all of this. Now, if you look at subclinical scurvy, which is a vitamin C deficiency, do you think that it's possible that people in our country have subclinical scurvy? Do you think people are getting enough vitamin C? No, they're not. They're not. They're probably not. They're not. So bleeding gums is an example of that. Loose teeth, varicose veins, hemorrhoids. Stretch marks are usually thought of as a natural consequence of birth. It's due to fragility of abdominal connective tissue. Okay? So I see some women that have had 3 or 4 kids, no stretch marks. I see some women that have 3 or 4 kids, massive stretch marks. What's the difference? The difference is what they're eating, what they ate before they got pregnant. Okay? So vitamin C, really, really important for that. What about potency? So we think potency is based on grams. You know, I got this vitamin C, 5 grams per capsule, you know. Well, you look at it, it's 5 grams of what? Ascorbic acid. You know, so I want you to understand the idea behind potency and milligrams, okay? Potency is related to the amount of milligrams based on test results. In actuality, a minute amount of a vitamin that's intact has a much greater metabolic impact on the body in terms of function than a large pure fraction. So natural food supplements will show much lower potency in milligrams. Most of this mean, you know, people interpret that to mean less effective. So if you looked at our vitamin C, our whole food vitamin C complex, 1 serving contains 5 milligrams. They look at that, there goes nothing in here. There's nothing to this. Not true, okay? In reality, whole food concentrates are actually low dose, high potency nutrients, whereas vitamin isolates are high dose, low potency. Okay, there's a big difference there. That means you don't need as much to make a metabolic impact on the body. Studies show the body treats isolated synthetic nutrients like xenobiotics. So you ever taken vitamins and peed out fluorescent yellow? Okay, that's a good example that the body is not able to use a lot of that very well. I'm not saying it can't use any of it, but it excretes it because it sees a lot of that as foreign. Okay, and so if you take, like, I take a lot of standard process every day, but it doesn't turn my urine fluorescent. Okay, have you noticed that it doesn't do that? Because it's like eating food. Okay, what do studies show about whole food diets versus refined diets? One from Stanford, one from Europe, reveal the following. Organic foods contain far less pesticides. They have on average 48% low levels of the toxic and carcinogenic heavy metal cadmium. Organic fruits and vegetables contain 18 to 69% more antioxidants. Studies from the U.S. Department of Agriculture from both 1950 and 1999 for 43 different vegetables and fruits, finding reliable declines in the amount of protein, calcium, iron, riboflavin, and vitamin C in these fruits and vegetables. Why do you think that is?
Because the pesticides are killing it all.
Yeah, the way they're grown. The soil's being depleted. The soil doesn't have the nutrition to feed the plant, to make the plant healthy, or to make the plant nutritious. What about genetically modified food? These are rats that were fed genetically modified rat chow, and they developed these massive tumors in 9 months later. Okay, so mice fed with genetically modified mouse chow with typical glyphosate residues. So this is a very well-known study, and the people that did this study, the glyphosate people like Monsanto really went after them for this. But this is what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
A recent study in Australia is another study that Monsanto really went after. Pigs that were fed a diet of GMO foods found that male pigs had significant stomach inflammation. Females were less fertile, heavy uteri and less fertile. Just recently, and you probably heard this, Ben & Jerry's ice cream. This probably happened a couple years ago when I first did this talk. Contains residues of glyphosate, which is Roundup. So Ben & Jerry's are supposed to be the real environmentally woke company, and somebody did this glyphosate test on it and found out there are residues in their ice cream. Within the last 16 months, the Environmental Working Group found that non-organic grains, especially oats, were very high in Roundup. Roundup residue has been related to 20 adverse health effects, including birth defects, infertility, and cancer. So here's the thing. Any oat that is not organic is going to have Roundup in it. You gotta buy organic oats. Otherwise, you're going to have some fertilizer in your food. Maybe you want that. I don't know. What does the scientific literature say about whole food diets? In this journal, Circulation, it said most U.S. children start life with optimal cardiovascular health, but it declines substantially over time. Children who have a horrible diet will develop worsening body mass index and cholesterol levels. Only 1% of children have an ideal diet score. Children who fared the worst on eating fruits, vegetables, fish, and whole grains. So children don't eat a lot of this, okay? What do they eat? What do you think a lot of kids eat?
Junk food.
Donuts.
Yeah, mac and cheese.
Cereal.
Yeah,
Spaghetti.
peanut butter and jelly on white bread.
Pizza.
Yeah, pizza. Less than 10% of the kids ate the recommended amounts of fruits and vegetables. Here's a journal from the American Journal of Human Biology, an article. This is March, April 2012. It says there's evidence that lean meat, fish, vegetables, tubers, and fruit can be effective in the prevention and treatment of common Western diseases. Paleolithic humans' principal foods included ripe fruits and berries, shoots, flowers, buds, young leaves, meat, bone marrow, organ meats, fish, shellfish, eggs, roots, bulbs, nuts, and non-grass seeds. Today, these foods comprise about 1/4 of the average diet in America and Europe. We get a lot of energy in this country from wheat, dairy, refined fat and sugar, and legumes. And I don't think legumes are all that bad. It's just that we need to vary our diet a lot more than this. Mediterranean diet is known to be health protective. Eating a plant-based diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and nuts and low in animal fats, dairy, and sweets can reduce the risk of stroke by up to 18%. Mediterranean diet reduces cognitive decline. The Mediterranean diet was also associated with greater telomere length, which is a biological marker of aging. So the longer your telomeres, and I have a whole talk on this, the slower you age. So what is the Mediterranean diet? Well, here's an example of it. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, olive oil, coconut oil, beans, legumes, fish, poultry, and lamb. Water is the main beverage with occasional wine. It's very low in sugar, dairy, and refined foods. So let's take an avocado. How healthy is an avocado? What is it? Do you think avocados are healthy?
Very.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of
So
good fats.
let's look at what's in it. Vitamin C, lots of vitamin C. Vitamin E, which means it contains selenium. Vitamin C, which means it contains copper and tyrosinase. Vitamin K, B6, riboflavin, niacin, folate, pantothenic acid, magnesium, potassium, beta-carotene, lutein, omega-3s, all in whole food complexes, which is why in our house, when my wife will make her quote-unquote homemade ice cream, a lot of avocado in that ice cream, a lot of it, okay?
Never had it that way.
And she uses avocado and frozen fruit. They're really good for you. And so, you know, when she makes her homemade ice cream, she uses a lot of avocado. So if we look at the major keys to health, whole food diet, whole food supplements, okay? Chiropractic care, which provides a high-functioning nervous system, good quality and quantity of sleep, regular exercise, good water, and healthy, nurturing relationships. Anybody think of anything else that I missed here?
Looks good.
Okay? Good. So this is why I use primarily standard process products, because they're whole food and they put them together to impact the body in certain ways. And so when I give standard process products, is because I want to create something, an effect in the body that will help the patient heal. So to give you an example, this afternoon, I had a patient who's having, she was actually diagnosed through medical testing, had some polyps in her gallbladder. Gallbladder wasn't functioning. She didn't want to have surgery. So I said, okay, this is what you're going to have to do in order to get your gallbladder revitalized. I gave her a couple of standard process products, and she's going to have to take them for a while. And she could have her gallbladder out. The problem is people that have a gallbladder out tend to gain weight, and they tend to have a lot of digestive issues, a lot of them, okay? Mm-hmm. So she can have it out, or she can take the products and revitalize her gallbladder. So it's a lot, it takes longer. You know, you have to take the products every day, but if you can save your gallbladder does what? What does it do?
It breaks down fats in your GI system.
It does. And it's really important because fat's important for our nervous system.
Yes.
It also alkalizes the body. It's a store of alkaline salts, bile salts, which alkalize the body. Very important. So very important that we save that gallbladder. I want mine till I die. Okay. Once I die, anybody that wants it can have it. It's good. I'm good to go.
One good
Okay.
use gallbladder. Yeah.
So yeah, I got Good good used gallbladder. That's right. I don't know what you can get for that
Only
these days.
100,000
but-
miles on it, that's right.
Yeah. So that's all I have for today. We're done about 5 minutes early. So again, we're having our Patient Appreciation Day in 2 days. We're going to do some spinal screenings. I'll do a couple of free mini consults for people who want to talk about nutrition. So that's going to be happening. You just make an appointment with Carmen, and we can make that happen for you.